I thought this was a great choice of a school for him to go to Trevecca because I knew he could be here and I knew he could be really good, but I didn't realize he could dominate like he did.
I actually thought he was going to go to Austin Peay. They really were on him coming down there. So he called me after work. He said, "Man, I think I'm going to go to Trevecca." I said, "You sure?" Yeah, I kind of had him out there, and it was just all his decision. I had no input. I had no, the way you want to do, you do it. I'm supporting. We're going, it's family. Mom and Dad going to support you. So he called me. He said, "I'm going to Trevecca." I said, "Well, you sure?" Because I think Belmont, it came on the end, and Liston had two. It had a lot of junior colleges around here. I said, "I think I'm going to go." I said, "You sure?" I said, "Now, don't go out there because of me." No, I'm going to go. So we talked, and then I said, "Well, you got to call Coach Wilson. I'm not going to call him." Okay. So he called Frank, and that was it.
He comes away being a 3,000-point scorer for Trevecca, having great success, a great college career.
And so as fate would have it, it worked out, and Mark came up here, and just a whole deal. And so playing here and playing with Frank he and Coach B were about the same intensity as far as coaching. So that was good. It was not anything new at all. Same thing. And just playing, it was just I had a good experience playing here. And as I said, when Dave came here, I was like, you'll see. I mean, you'll see what it's like, the fans, the administration, the support you get in just playing here is just a whole nother vibe. But like I said, basketball, no matter where you play. You know, it's just all the same. Just what you get put into it to get out of it.
Took his team to the state tournament, first time they had been in a long time. And everybody thought David was going to go big, he was going to go to bigger schools, but David had an affinity for Trevecca because of his time here on campus, because of his relationship with everybody, because of his brother Reggie's experiences here at Trevecca. And it kind of became a love story.
You can't talk about David without Reggie because I think that he was kind of the trailblazer, the guy who put him in front of the audience to see all these great guys play. And that's just got to be motivational as it can be.
Because everybody had heard about David Suddeth at Trevecca, and they think playing at Trevecca, whatever he's doing is okay. But then when they played against him, oh, this guy can play. And I think he had that chip on his shoulder to show them, I may not be playing on your level, but I can play. And when he played against other schools, I think that motivated him. You know, and then we played out, like when I played in school, some leagues and everything, it's the same thing. You get guys from TSU, Vandy, UT, blah, blah, and Trevecca. Because then, like, okay, I'm in Trevecca, but I can still play. And they're playing against them guys, and I would tell myself, I'm just good as them. They just at another school. And I think with David, he had that chip till they saw him play. It was like, oh, this guy can really, really play. He forged friendships off of that.
David had an older brother, Reggie. I had an older sister, Angela, who played at Whites Creek, and Reggie played at Maplewood. So he would go to the games to watch his brother, and I'd go to the games and watch my sister, and you always kind of knew the kids that were in or around your age. And during that period of time, Reggie was one of the better basketball players in the city, so to know he had a little brother coming along, wait a minute. Who's this guy? As we got to junior high, Ewing Park Junior High at the time was a very strong high school in athletics. I would venture to guess, and David will tell you himself, there probably has never been another dynasty like that in sports. David's 8th grade year, Ewing Park, we won football, city, boys basketball, girls basketball, boys track, girls track, boys wrestling, and I think finished second in girls volleyball. And then if you knew you could play at Ewing Park, your name would be mentioned among the high school coaches coming up.
He got into 7th grade, I kind of see him separating from his friends. Like, you need to start coming with me. Reluctantly at first, now I realized, I remember a guy, when I was playing, did me the same way. took me to go play with them, and I was playing with my friends. Said, "No, you need to come play with us, play with the older guys." So I did. And I kind of paid it forward with David.
Our coach was Britt Pounds, who was a very disciplined coach. So we come in for tryouts. David had made the team the year before. At Ewing Park, it was unusual for 7th graders to make the team, let alone to get playing time, and David had gotten some playing time as a 7th grader. That 8th grade year, team is loaded, but when it came time for that shot, everybody knew, let's get the ball to David to spot up and shoot it, because if he spotted up, it was over.
Well, growing up with Reggie, following him to the gym and wanting to get in games when all the big guys were playing, you know, you're talking about Avery Patton out there playing. You're talking about Tommy Springer out there playing. And so to see two great explosive guards like that and know that they know your big brother and you want to get in on the action a little bit, it's pretty neat. And so I think that was a role model for him on X's and O's for sure.
Hartman Park at the time was an outdoor gym only. You played park ball, and on this end were the big boys. On that end were the little boys. Kind of had to be anointed to play on either end. And down on this end, Reggie would be playing, and on this end, David would be playing. And as the little guys, you always dreamed of that moment that the big guys said, hey, we need one, get him. Because if the big boys identified you could play down here, then you knew you could play. And one day we're down there playing, and they need somebody, and they say, hey, give us David. And Reggie says, well, Reggie didn't want to put that pressure on his brother. And then he said, yeah, give us David.
We used to go to Haynes Manor where David lived, and every day you find pretty much his brother Reggie and David outside playing on the courts. We all would hang out over to E.J. Jr.'s house, Dr. Samuel Jr. Spence, and play basketball on Sundays. And I think David continued that, and even once he got to Maplewood.
Well, I saw David in high school. He played at Maplewood High School for Winston Gamble, and I was always at a Metro basketball game during those years, and he and Maplewood were some of the places to be seen at. And David had the ability to go out and shoot the three, and he was also a guy that would get to the rim, and his teammates were really good.
So he was really a great player at Maplewood. He was averaging probably in his 20s. And we wouldn't have gone as far as we did had it not been for David Suddeth. He was definitely our bread and butter guy.
And when you saw David roll his eyes, it wasn't a good sign for that other person. If he goes, you knew, okay, now he's really focused and he's really about to go to work. And what would happen is he'd not only, just shoot the jumper then he'd take you off the dribble. Then he would go out of his way to really go at you. And his footwork was strong enough to do it.
When I saw David play, I knew that he was going to be recruited very heavily. And I think it was his freshman or his sophomore year. I said, I'll have a scholarship for you. If you want to come to Trevecca, I said, we'll take care of everything for you. And really, it was quite smooth in signing David. And I think a lot of it had to do with Reggie. I think Reggie really enjoyed playing here. And so there was kind of a connection through Reggie to David. And I was really excited about signing David because I knew he had so much talent.
2 years in a row, we played Whites Creek at TSU Gentry Center because they couldn't hold all the people at Maplewood or at Whites Creek. So we played them in pretty much almost sold out Gentry Center. I think about 8,500 people in Gentry Center. And I remember some of the moves that David did during that game. You would just shake your head because you couldn't believe some of the stuff that he could do. And so David was really a great player. and I enjoyed working with him and allowing him to put me on the map. But he was a great young man. He was a very fine young man to coach. His father was a fine person, and his mother who raised him. So he was raised very well. And then I think the big thing with David was his brother Reggie, who took him under his wings and helped him a lot and helped him to propel as the player that he was.
Just a great person, and just like his brother Reggie, and he has a great mom and dad. You know, you could just see that he had a lot of them. I didn't know them well. I met them before, and I think he was kind of a mama's boy, you know, and I think that's great. You know, I like that.
I think David as a person has always been one to give credit to other people, not only his players, but also to the table staff. In the years that he played there, one of the most friendly guys. We'd go on road trips and he'd always hang out. And then also to the table staff as he was coming on the court, off the court, always thanking us. And in the years since then, he is one of the people who has maintained a relationship with Aaron Black, who's been my statistician for over 30 years, and me and some of the others. It's just been a really great guy to work with and to be around, to call my friend.
David just had that real infectious type of personality that when you met him, you liked him. David was able to connect with anybody on the floor and really off the floor. He was very well liked across the campus. He had lots of friends.
The other thing that I remember about David is a ready smile at all times. He really endeared himself to the entire campus. And that was back during a time when men's basketball was the marquee sport. We didn't have that many athletic sports in a lot of ways. Tennis was doing great, baseball was doing well, but basketball was during the wintertime when people needed to be inside, and it was a great spectator sport for us, and the student body was just totally into it. And I remember David being very engaged with the student body.
The great thing about a school like Trevecca is that you're here for an education with a Christian purpose. And I think that's something that David probably discovered once he was here, not only with his teammates, but associating with other students. And I think that's where David really grew into the philosophy that Trevecca has for each and every student. You know, because you're a ball player, you're no more special than that kid sitting up in the stands, you know. And I think when you grow as a Christian, you come to realize there's so much more important things in life than bouncing a basketball, and that is life. And that's what I love about Christian education, and especially a school like Trevecca, where you go and you get an education with a Christian purpose. You establish a philosophy of life, and that's based on Christ.